And then she said, "Boy, am I glad I'm wearing a hat. Now get out of my bedroom."
Nice.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
This is episode number 62 of Contested Layups. Thank you for joining us again tonight. Remember, you can find Contested Layups on iTunes and Google Play. Don't forget to rate and review us. And you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook.
Don't forget to check us out on YouTube by searching Contested Layups episodes or full episodes and more.
Yeah. Who we got tonight? Who here?
Oh, it's me, John.
It's actually John now.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah,
You can't do that.
Yes, you can. Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, you can do it. It's him. Go ahead.
No, but for real, guys, it's me, John. Yo, what's going on? It's Raul. OKC all day. Let's go.
It's Eddie.
It's Garnick. I don't have that much passion for any teams as Raul does.
Yeah, I don't either, actually, surprisingly. I'm pretty passionate about my teams, too, but Raul's just on another level, man.
OKC all day. Let's go.
He's all the way up. We are not previewing OKC tonight. We are continuing our ascension up the Western and Eastern Conference to the...
Sadly, they really do deserve it.
To the 7th seed. We're at the 7th seed, and in the West, we're going to start with the West again. Start with the West start with the East last time. The 7th seed in the West is the Denver Nuggets.
PU.
So, the Denver Nuggets, we predict, will finally make the playoffs. They've barely missed the playoffs the last 2 seasons. This past season, they added Isaiah Thomas, their major free agent signing, even though it was for the veterans minimum. They also drafted Michael Porter Jr. with the 14 pick. He slid all the way to 14, although he is questionable to even play much of the season with the back issue. And then they will get Paul Millsap back, even though he missed most of the season last year. Still good to get him back on the roster and playing. They did lose Kenneth Faried, Darrell Arthur in the trade to Brooklyn, and then they also lost Wilson Chandler.
Where did he go?
What, Philadelphia? Yeah.
West Philadelphia?
No, I think it was the east side. So, gentlemen, the Denver Nuggets last year barely missed the playoffs by 1 game. In the play-in game, they lost to Minnesota. I ask you this. Nikola Jokic is the Denver Nuggets stud.
Stud.
Yes, he is. Garnick, what do you think of Nikola Jokic? I know you have an opinion of him.
I think quite fondly of him.
What do you think for this season?
I think he's going to do great.
Where?
No, I'm a fan. I really do think he's going to take another step forward. He had, he averaged 6 assists last year out of the center spot, out of the 5 spot, which is basically unheard of.
Yep.
And they still didn't make the playoffs, unfortunately.
Crazy.
I expect bigger and better things out of this whole squad. I expect another step forward from Jamal, from Gary.
From Jamal Murray, yep. Gary Harris.
Yeah, I think this team has been together for some time. Will Barton, obviously, is another key piece. I think they're going to overachieve, even by our standards here. I don't think they're a 7 seed. I think they'll be 5 or 6 seed.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There is cohesion. There is continuity. They obviously hopefully get another year. Well, hopefully they get a full year out of Paul Millsap, although he is 33, which is pretty old by basketball standards.
Correct.
But he's definitely a glue guy on this team.
At least.
And he was there to push Jokic last year. You know, he pushed him into the alpha role, and I think that really created an identity for this team. And now that they have Jokic, I don't know, I use them interchangeably.
Yeah, Jokic, I think.
I prefer Jokic.
I like
it
Jokic.
Sounds funnier.
The Joker, kind of.
No.
No?
How would you get that out of Jokic?
Because he looks like a Joker.
You're crazy,
Looks like he
man.
jokes.
You're crazy. I love you, but you're crazy. No, I mean, they locked him up for the long haul, so that's always good. Yeah, I expect him to be a 5 seed. I have him at a 5 seed
Okay.
in my private little
In Garnick's private podcast, Contested Garnick's.
Contested Garnick.
Nikola Jokic last season did average 6.1 assists, shot nearly 50% from the field, made a 3.5 per game, 18.5 points a game.
He
10.7
shot threes,
boards.
too.
Yep. He is your definition of a point center, 85% free throw shooter last season for Nikola Jokic, averaging a career high in minutes, 32.5. So it's a real big season for Nikola and the Nuggets, but it's going to be based on him.
Would you say he's the best Nikola around nowadays?
I'd say he's number one.
Oh, okay. Who's the second best? That's the real question.
Oh, no. It's probably Nikola Mirotic. What other Nikolas are there? Nikola...
Vucinic?
Yeah, no.
Vucevic.
It's Mirotic. I'd say Mirotic over
I gotta go
Vucevic.
Vucevic.
Mirotic was a beast last year. Man.
Tesla?
Yeah, Vucevic was a beast last year.
No one? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Nikola Vucevic.
Yeah, but Mirotic did stuff in the playoffs, man.
Mirotic, get out of here.
Anyway,
Yeah, well, if Vucevic was playing with Anthony Davis,
Quite a tangent. Forgive me for starting this.
it's okay. You're fine.
Who's the best Corey in the league?
The Denver Nuggets, though, let's go back to them. Yeah, you're right. This is a team of cohesion.
Indeed.
Where they've played together. The core has played together for basically now 3 years, with Jamal Murray being added. His third year, I believe this is. Correct? Yeah. And then...
I gotta say, I was a fan of Kenneth Faried for a long time, but he didn't really play a substantial role on this team the last 2 years.
Which was odd.
It was
considering
odd
that-
because he's such an energy guy, like crashes offensive boards like crazy. He's very useful, I thought, but for some reason he was just phased out of this team completely. Obviously, they traded him. Wilson Chandler, too. Obviously, he had injury issues the last couple of years. Although last year he was there for, I want to say 50-plus games, so he was very serviceable last year, but he is in his 30s, and that's what happens to dudes in their 30s.
I think they upgraded Kenneth Faried.
DePaul grad, too.
Well, I don't know if they upgraded, but Mason Plumlee's a bigger version of Kenneth Faried, where he's a good rebound crasher and then a presence defensively.
I like the two
and a
cups, too.
passer.
I'd agree.
I like the two pickups they made. Isaiah Thomas on the cheap, super cheap.
He might be injured to start the year.
That's fine. I mean, you're not losing anything by paying him $2 mil.
Exactly.
Or
That's
whatever
true.
the hell
Yeah.
you're paying him.
Exactly. That's like
And Michael Porter is a kind of low risk, kind of a draft pick.
Massive reward draft pick, really, if he plays up to his number one status as a high school recruit. John and Raul, what do you guys think about the Denver Nuggets? What do you think about this roster and this team going forward?
Offensively, I like them a lot.
Okay.
I like the fact they move the ball around, especially through the center,
Yep.
and it's good, fluid, beautiful basketball. My only concern with them is on the defensive side.
Okay.
They are garbage defensively.
Well, they do have a couple of plus defenders. Jamal Murray's a good defender for his position. Will Barton is a good defender, and he has been. He's been a pretty versatile defender. But yeah, I agree that losing Arthur and Wilson Chandler, I think, could harm them defensively going forward this season. But like Garnick alluded to, I think that cohesion does have a place in this NBA now. I think that teams that do stay together and build together, especially with a young core like Denver, I think that has staying power in the league, and it really will benefit. Now, Raul, what are you thinking about Denver this year?
I think defensively, by getting rid of the pieces that they did, Kenneth Faried, who didn't really play that much, and I mean, even when he did play, yeah, he would still have the high intensity, and he was still able to crash boards, but defensively, he wasn't very good. And Wilson Chandler, he was always kind of a liability on defense, as well as Darrell Arthur, not really known for his defense either. But I think by getting rid of those guys and giving way to more room for Mason Plumlee and getting more minutes for Will Barton, who also would share the 3 spot sometimes with Wilson Chandler or Because Wilson Chandler, you'd be able to play him at 3 different positions.
Correct. Yep.
And so you're just offering up more minutes for these guys. I think with Millsap coming back and Will Barton having more time on the floor, as well as just Jamal Murray, who's gonna come into his own even more. I think that will further establish their defensive identity.
Okay.
Where Jamal Murray, he was averaging a steal a game. Will Barton averaging a steal a game. Paul Millsap, he was averaging. He's like an 18-8 guy with extras all the time. One plus steals a game, a block or 2 a game. Stuff like that. So I think they do get better defensively. I think they wind up becoming a more grittier team just because of the personnel that's there and that's going to be playing a lot. And one thing that I like what they really did was they surrounded Jokic with shooting and scoring. And so Jokic, even though he is that main guy that you're going to go to, these are reliable scoring options to go to. Isaiah Thomas, obviously, he had his rough years in Cleveland, his rough year or so in Cleveland, but even on the Lakers, he was averaging, a bench role is perfect for him. He got his averages back up. He was averaging 15.5 points a game, 5 assists a game on the Lakers bench, which was up from 14.5 a game from Cleveland, and I think it was like three assists a game on Cleveland.
Okay.
So, just having more options like that, Will Barton, again, giving him more time. Jamal Murray, who they got in the draft. Gary Harris. These are all guys who they're going to be looking at from now and in the near future to help Jokic out, carry the load on the offensive end. And I think these are good options. You saw what Mason Plumlee did when he had his starting role on Portland, and he was more than serviceable on Portland.
Right.
So I think the team filled out relatively well, and it took a lot of bumps to get there. Obviously, Moutier didn't pan out, but you also have Trey Lyles. Trey Lyles is still there, right?
Yeah, Garnett's boy, Trey Lyles. I was actually just going to bring him up. Garnett's boy.
I was about to.
Yeah, go ahead about your boy.
I expect him to step up a little more this year. He had a very, very nice year last year, kind of in the shadows. I expect him to be kind of like a Taj Gibson type guy on this team.
Yeah.
I think he's very much capable of doing that this upcoming year.
Okay. Yeah, 9.9 points a game, almost 10 points a game for Trey, 4 rebounds, and just 19 minutes a game.
Yeah,
started 2 games last year.
Nice.
That's solid production.
No, if you look at a per 36, yeah, absolutely.
But even more so than that was how well he did in while Paul Millsap was injured.
Yep, exactly, and that's where he really kind of grew on that team last year.
Yeah.
I'd say with Trey.
Wilson Chandler 74 games last year. My apologies. I thought he was injured, but I thought he was injured for longer.
Be okay, man. We understand it.
Please forgive me.
We'll forgive you. The Denver Nuggets are making the playoffs this year. We're calling it here on Contested Layups. We're not afraid to be wrong on our predictions about that. I think we're all in agreement that Denver is a playoff team this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
We're all set the over-under. What do you got?
Well, they won
last year.
46 games.
46 games last year.
46 and 36. So, I think we should set the
Fence.
Yeah, he's on the fence.
I think we should set the over/under at 48.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good number. John, good.
I'm gonna go even. They're gonna get to 48. That's it.
You mean
with the push, dude?
Yep, with the push.
Wow.
48.
All right.
48 for me.
What do you think?
I gotta go push too.
Oh my gosh, 2 pushes in one night.
Yep.
Look, it's the West. I think there's going to be a large cluster of teams in the 45 to 50 game range, including even a 3 seed in this scenario. And I expect them to be a 5 seed, like I said.
I think the West is a lot more. I don't think Houston is at the level of 60 wins again. So I think that's going to give more wins to other teams. I'm going over for this. I'm going 51 for Denver. Let's go.
Okay.
Denver with 51 this year. Raul, what do you got, man?
Going 52 for Denver.
Wow. Garner called us out on the last podcast. Said we'd never go over one more than the over-under. And Raul and Eddie going massively over.
All right, I'm going to call you out again. They're a 7 seed, and you're giving them 52 wins. We just argued for about 10 minutes beforehand about whether or not they should be a 7 seed, and you're going to give them 52 wins.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, great.
First thing when I heard you guys' prediction was like, oh, okay, this is definitely a 5 seed. Like, there's no way that we can put them in a 7 seed and give them 51 and 52
Sure you could.
I'm not sure about that.
Why not?
Not at the. Not at
How many wins are you giving to the Lakers, bud?
No,
Tune in next time.
Well, I mean, I think they're gonna overachieve than what we have them at. When we have them at 7.
No one had them at 7.
No, we
No,
didn't.
Based on records, it doesn't seem like we have them at 7.
I heard we were gonna do them at 7, so I got prepared to do them at 7. That's all it was.
Okay.
So I mean,
Denver's a 7, everybody.
Great leadership, Ed.
Thanks. And then we'll go to the East.
Who did
Great transition in the East.
another controversial.
Another controversial team here. The Washington Wizards are a 7 seed on contested layups.
Yup. Couldn't agree more. Good job, Ed.
Washington this offseason adding Austin Rivers in the trade for Marcin Gortat.
Ugh.
Also adding Dwight Howard, as probably a lot of people knew. 5.3 mil this year. And one more player, Lavoy Allen, Raul's best friend.
Ya boy, Lavoy.
Raul loved him for some reason.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Other than that, Washington not making many big moves outside of John Wall coming back healthy this coming season. John Wall missed about half the year last year with, what was his injury? A knee?
No, well,
I
they
think
got
it was-
Austin Rivers and they got Jeff Green.
I think it was penis related.
Oh, they signed Jeff Green.
It was like herpes or something.
Jeff Green also signing a
I think he
veterans
has
minimum deal.
HPV.
Who, Jeff Green or John Wall?
John Wall.
Don't spread rumors about this guy. He's got a career. He's got a family.
Awesome.
But the Washington Wizards returning the majority of their roster again. Now, this kind of speaks to a weird, like what we were just talking about with the Nuggets. We were saying continuity is great in the NBA. Washington has had the same core for several years, and they haven't done much with it.
By the way, John Wall's middle name is Hildred.
Yeah, it is.
John Wall played 41 games last year, guys. But, guys, let's talk about the Wizards. What's going on with this team?
John?
Yeah, I kind of have an opinion on this. I don't think any major roster change will help them more than it will any other season, to be honest. Like Garnick said, they had the same core, and for some reason it's just not gelling with their two best players.
I didn't say that.
I said it, John. But continue.
If those two can't figure it out, then they gotta seriously trade one of them, or else this is going down fast, in my opinion.
Keep in mind that the Wizards did win, or were the 8 seed last year. They won 43 games, and John Wall missed half the season. Literally, he played 41 games.
Yeah.
This team still won 43 games. If you get a completely healthy season from Wall, Beal, and Porter, that's why I'm in the camp of the Wizards are definitely not a 7 seed, but we put them here because
Dude,
some people think so.
The rest of the East is just so stacked.
Yeah. What do you think about this team, Garnick?
Well, you know how we talk about addition by subtraction a lot?
Yes.
They did the opposite of that with Dwight Howard, if that makes sense. They added a player who will negatively affect this team.
Okay.
And I dare you to prove me wrong.
I won't.
Okay. That's mistake number one. John Wall and Bradley Beal never really gelled, and I mean, you can Google that shit.
Yeah.
They're stuck with John Wall for a long time. They just signed Otto Porter to a pretty decent-sized contract, although I am a fan of Otto.
I like him too.
Right, but just the chemistry isn't there. It never has been. I don't see how this team can take a leap at this point in its progression. With Denver, chemistry was a positive. Continuity was a positive because you still don't know what you have there. A bunch of their people are under 25. They're still developing. They're still growing. And you have some good leadership at the top with Paul Millsap. In this case, none of that applies. I mean, none of their stars are really young anymore. You can't say that about John Wall. You can't say that about Bradley Beal. I just don't see any. Well, Bradley Beal is still pretty young, I guess you can say, but nonetheless, he's been in the league for some time. I can't see how, with the changes they made, they can make another leap. Okay. And I really do think Dwight Howard will negatively impact them.
Do you think that is just from Dwight Howard, though? Do you think that's the issue?
No, that's not what I said. I mean, Dwight Howard definitely won't help the chemistry. Okay. But the chemistry that was there to begin with wasn't really great.
Well, I mean, here's a question. Like, how much of it do you put on the chemistry and it working between John Wall and Bradley Beal versus them just never really having that third go-to guy? Or a big man down low.
I'd say more of an athletic big.
Yeah,
I'd say Gortat.
I mean, they had
serviceable.
They had what? They had Nene, and then they had Gortat, and you never really had anything. You have Markieff Morris, who doesn't really count as a big. He's more of like a 3 that you put in a 4 because you have no choice.
Yeah, right.
But I think the days of wondering if it can work, I don't even think that it's a case of John Wall and Bradley Beal not being able to work together, because I think they got over that hump in the 2016-2017 season.
When they reached the finals. I remember that year.
They lost in the conference semifinals.
The conference semis in 7.
They won one series. Awesome.
I'm just saying, like, they made strides. Like, it was their best winning season. It was like one of the best seasons in Wizards history. They never won over 46 games.
But they
pretty sure they did with the Warriors. The team.
The Bullets, you mean?
The Bullets?
No, the Warriors. The team that had 3 former Warriors: Gilbert, Larry Hughes, and Antoine Jameson. Pretty sure they won 50 games.
From 2016 to 2017 and down, it doesn't get any better than 49 wins.
They never got any better
until 1978.
Wow.
Who was on that team?
So, that was their best season. 49 and 33. That's very good. And like I said, they never really had a big. And, like John Wall and Bradley Beal, I think they figured it out during that time. And that was just 2 seasons ago. And now I think the problem was that last year, you didn't have John Wall for half of your games. And it seemed like for a little while when John Wall went out, there was that whole thing with Gortat, and Gortat was calling him out.
Yeah.
And then they were saying that they were playing they were playing way better with John Wall out and whatever. And then when you would look at the games, it would kind of look like that they are playing better and that they are moving the ball better. But I think it was just mainly. But I think we all know that you would rather have John Wall there, rather than trying to rely on Thomas Satoransky.
That's an interesting point, though, that you just made, that I think the Austin Rivers signing, or the trade, is an important part for the Wizards going forward. That really strengthened their guard positions, because Rivers is a combo guard. He can go off the bench as a point or as a 2. And I think that Rivers just being able to score the ball is really going to help Washington, and he's going to push Satoransky at the same time. That's a solid 4-guard combo. That's probably the best guard combination in the East.
I would agree with you if Austin Rivers wasn't so trash.
I'm glad you said East, because I thought you were going to say something crazy for a
No, not the whole game.
I agree with you, Raul. if you're basing your personal ranking on Austin Rivers improving this team, boy, we are in trouble.
Why would he not?
Man, he's trash.
No, he gets a bad rap.
Yeah, he does. If you average 15 a game in the NBA, you're pretty good. Like, no matter who you are. And that was on a team that was contending for the playoffs too, and had Lou Williams averaging 22 a game.
Yeah, well, why? Well, how is Austin Rivers? See, he averaged 15.1 points per game last season, but for some reason, Austin Rivers warrants 34 minutes per game. Like, dude, that's way too many. That's way too many.
Well, that team was super injured, though. To be fair,
yeah. So exactly, and when
he's not going to take 13 shots a game either.
When his minutes come down.
Look, nepotism aside, he's a serviceable backup guard.
Yeah,
I don't see him as serviceable.
All right.
When his minutes go down to 20 minutes a game, like how it's supposed to be, like how it's gonna be when he's on the Wizards, he averaged like 7 to 8 points a game. That's like whatever. I don't see that helping the Wizards. If anything, you just put in Satoransky then, and then just deal with that, because Satoransky at least showed that
at the 2 guard, he can get some PT. I feel.
I agree. I think it's going to be Satoransky and Rivers are going to play together. I don't think Rivers is just a point guard. He's a combo. He can play both, and he's going to play both when Beal and Wall are out, and that's going to strengthen the Wizards' backcourt just by way of Beal and Wall.
I'd rather give the minutes to Jody Meeks.
I love Jody Meeks.
I'd rather give the minutes
I
to
love
Jody
me some
Meeks.
Jody Meeks, but I think he's just a spot-up shooter at this point of his career, you know?
Yeah, he's on the way out. Kelly Oubre is another player we haven't touched on yet. I think Kelly Oubre is in for a breakout season, actually.
I don't.
I love that guy. I've loved him for a long time.
A long time, he's 22.
I know.
Have you
He's
loved
been in the
him
league
when he
for
was like 14?
4 years, man.
I loved him since 2004.
I would agree with you, but there's a logjam in the position that he's in with Otto Porter
Yeah,
And-
Markeith.
and Marquis play interchanging between the 3 and the 4. Where are you going to give him the minutes? I love him too. I like the way he plays, but he needs minutes to produce.
What do you mean? I mean, Otto's your 3, Markieff is your 4, Kelly backs them both up. Like, I don't think it's a logjam, to be honest with you.
He did average 27 minutes a game last year.
Yeah, Otto Porter was out for a little while during
true.
that time, and Kelly just didn't really do anything. He didn't really make the most of it. It was okay.
You know, if you remember the playoffs, even though they were an 8 seed, they really pushed Toronto. Although obviously Toronto was clearly overrated last year, but they pushed Toronto, which would have been to the brink had Otto Porter not gotten hurt in Game 6 or before Game 6 last year. I think they win that Game 6 and they go to 7 with Toronto. If you're an 8 seed, that's all you could ask for. With the season that Washington had to deal with, I see this team as Garnett could be right, and Dwight Howard could be a locker room cancer, but Raul could be right, and Dwight Howard could be an energizer for John Wall and how they just throw lobs to him all day.
Okay, well, look at the way he left Charlotte. He was lobbing for more touches. He was trying to be the alpha on that team, and he got ran out of town. You know, what do you think is going to happen here? That's a legit point too. That could happen.
Dwight Howard last year averaged 16.6 points per game, 12.5 rebounds per game, and 1.6 blocks per game, but had a career high in free throw percentage at 57.4%.
For the 11th best
career
team in the East.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is that Raul is actually lobbying for Dwight Howard, like the first time on our show.
I'm
proud of you, man.
Not really. Not really. It's for the sake of the pod. If you talk to me outside of the pod...
Dude, they got Dwight Howard.
Talk to me outside of the pod, I'll tell you how much I hate him.
Set the
Hall of Famer.
Set the over-under for this team, man. They last they had 43.
I can't give him any more than like 44 or 45.
All right, just set it there.
Can
Who's
you
first?
please use half games?
All right, 44 and a half.
44 and a half.
Push. I'll push.
I'll go. I will say over. 47.
I'll say over at 45.
Okay, Jen.
I'm with Garnick over at 45.
Wow. Raul, is everyone over?
Under.
Oh my God! After all that.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'll give him over at 46.
Wow, so everyone over on the Wizards at 44.5. I'm proud of you guys. That probably means they're not a 7 seed, but whatever.
It does mean they're a 7 seed in the East, because the bottom half of the East is going to have like 22 wins each.
That's true, and that's why the Nuggets can be at 51 wins.
Wizards were the 8th seed at 43 wins. I think that more than warrants them a 7 seed if they're at 46. I think that's completely justifiable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, boys, let's finish with final thoughts. Who's got it? Anybody? Nobody. Nothing. A lot of breathing.
What happened recently?
Well, since the last time we had
what happened in the world over the last
last time we had a little podcast, I'll go again. Glenn Taylor threw Tom Thibodeau under the bus. Glenn Taylor is the Minnesota Timberwolves owner. And Tom Thibodeau said that Jimmy Butler was not available for a trade. That was, I think, on Friday.
Yes.
And
okay.
then this past
I know what you're
weekend,
talking about with this.
Glenn Taylor said he is definitely available for a trade. Glenn Taylor, is the owner of Minnesota. Tom Thibodeau
the
is
state or the team?
Probably of the state. No, of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Tom Thibodeau, the president of basketball operations, and obviously the Timberwolves head coach, said that Butler was not available for a trade. That to me shows a total rift in what Taylor believes should happen and what Thibodeau believes should happen. I don't know if Thibodeau was just saying that to, try to build value for Butler, but it didn't seem to me the way that Taylor had said it that I guess he said in an interview or something. No, Jimmy Butler's definitely available for a trade. I don't like that from Minnesota's point of view. I think Thibodeau is on really thin ice.
Yes.
Ice, I get it.
Yes.
Minnesota. Ice.
Yes. He's not on the fence. He's on ice.
But I think Thibodeau doesn't play any games, and I think he really wants to keep Jimmy at all costs, but the owner says otherwise, and you can't argue with the owner.
Is it possible to keep Jimmy? Because they just gave Karl Anthony Towns $190 million.
No.
And Jimmy Butler is going to be asking for $190 million. And I don't think
And Wiggins got paid $150 million.
No.
Exactly. I don't think... Is Minnesota that big that they got like $2 billion just to give away?
The team or the state?
the team.
No.
I mean, even the states.
No.
You're gonna have to ask for state money. They have to start asking their senators.
Yeah, I think that the
I think
Towns deal.
Thibodeau is guilty of thinking short term here. He's not thinking as a GM or as a president of basketball operations.
No, he's not. Yeah, he's
He's
trying to win
totally-
this year.
Yeah, and that's BS. That's ridiculous. And he's just completely awful at this point. I mean, he was so highly regarded in 2011. And
Crazy.
It's such a fall from grace for this guy. I mean, yeah, he made the playoffs last year. First time in 15 years
Yep.
with Minnesota since the Latrell Sprewell days.
Yes.
And Sam Cassell and KG, of course. And that's somewhat of an accomplishment in the West. But then again, you have 2 number 1 picks from the last 5 drafts, and you have Jimmy Butler. So you can argue he underachieved last year. And in fact, they were a 4 seed 2 weeks before the playoffs started. I don't know what's going to happen to him after this year. He's clearly not going to stick around in Minnesota. This is kind of a Stan Van Gundy type scenario.
Yeah,
Very much so.
Yep,
Except,
it really is.
except he's just more brazen with bringing Bulls back. It is so ridiculous.
For the nostalgia.
Yeah. So that's the state of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Apparently, that's a thing on our show because we talk about them all the damn time.
Timberwolves.
Ooh, controversy.
But the Timberwolves are and Tom Thibodeau are not looking up for this season. If they trade Butler and get pennies on the dollar, which will probably happen, they are not going to be at the 9 seed where we had them.
Clearly.
They're going to fall a lot. So that's my final thought. Thank you for listening. What do you guys got? Anybody?
I wasn't listening.
Oh, yeah. Who's thought? Anybody? Nothing?
Thought like THOT or?
No.
I was going to say, I'm back on Tinder, guys.
Hello, Ladies.
What's your name on Tinder, John? Don't give him the full name.
No, that's not how Tinder works.
Just give him a little bit.
You can't look.
I've never been on Tinder. Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
All right. I won't.
Guys, swipe right. That's all I have to say.
Guys, swipe right.
at all costs.
Boys, swipe right.
Ladies, you know what to do.
Ladies, swipe left. Boys.
You guys, anything?
Yeah, I got a question for you guys.
What's up?
Oh.
So, I think I should save it for the podcast.
Okay.
This is the podcast.
This is the podcast. What are you talking about?
it.
No, I just kind of want to talk about Kyle Kuzma.
Well, we'll talk about him on the episode when we cover the Lakers.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
next episode.
It might be next episode.
Maybe.
It should be.
Could be next episode. You'll have to tune
My
in.
final thought, we're giving the Lakers way too much credit. Thanks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Are we, though?
Are we?
Totally.
Are
You
we?
gotta
And
say
I love LeBron.
Yeah, you're LeBron's best friend.
Yeah, and you guys are... What are you doing with the Lakers? It's the West.
Yeah.
They don't have three-point shooting. Rajon Rondo.
KCP.
Yeah, okay. That's cute.
All right, we're done here.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to Contested Layups. Remember, you can find us on iTunes, Google Play, also on Instagram and Facebook.
Don't forget to check us out on YouTube by searching Contested Layups episodes, full episodes.
And more. And don't forget to check out John on Tinder.
Swipe right, ladies.
And dudes.
And dudes, thank you, everybody. And we hope you have a great Monday.
Adios.
Yeah.